I hope you soak up all the liberal tears today. So I was you were one of the first people I thought about after Trump won. Because
what's happening, Peacecraft? Can you hear me?
What's going on? No, let me mute your Twitch stream really quick.
No problem.
My critique of the Trump administration is really the installation of RFK as this new health minister, right? Going to the direct tweet. God damn, fucking music. One second.
It's all right.
Going to the direct tweet that RFK made on his perhaps future appointment is this. He accused the FDA, he accused the agency of aggressive suppression of psychedelics, peptides, stem cells, raw milk, hyperbaric therapies, chelating compounds, ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, vitamins, clean food, sunshine, exercise, nutraceuticals, and anything else that advances human health and can't be patented by pharma. If you work for the FDA and are part of this corrupt system, I have two messages for you. One, preserve your records. Two, pack your bags.
Okay.
Now the problem with this is that some of these are fine. Some of these are fine. Others are complete bullshit. Okay.
Psychedelics.
Yeah, so psychedelics is, I don't know if you were saying that one was fine or complete bullshit.
That's what you're going to, right. I knew that was one that you would point out, yeah.
Yeah, psychedelics have had some very good studies recently in helping with veterans suffering PTSD is getting over their PTSD. Stuff is such as psilocybin or even ketamine, even though I don't know if ketamine's that's a little early, but they've been experimenting with those substances in order to treat mental health disorders, and they seem to be doing relatively well. Okay, I'm going to be absolutely fine with lab and doctors testing these things to find out their efficacy, because they've shown promise so far. But with other things that he mentioned, such as, and here's where maybe some of your community is gonna be upset. Raw milk is just bad. Like there's this crunchy alternative health hippie organic kind of slightly, like when you dig in deep into some of these influencers, like almost fascistic, like focus on just like raw milk. And every piece of data that I've seen on raw milk is that, like, yeah, pasteurization is actually good. Louis Pasteur Louis Pasteur invented pasteurization for a reason. And no, like for instance in your chat, Gendrick Bender, brother, I'm sorry. If you look at PubMed, if you pull up any study on raw milk you want, they make the claim that some taste is lost because some fat is burnt off during the pasteurization process, but all nutrients are kept. All the nutrients are kept.
So I have wrong. I have a hard cutoff at 10:30. This is a lengthy conversation. Let me say.
I know. Let me pull out a couple more. Okay, ivermectin, same thing. But the key thing here is nutraceuticals. That is a term that Alex Jones developed for the selling of his supplement process. And when Alex Jones supplements were tested, they had like 300% fucking lead in them, right? Again, when we talk about installing members into the administrative state or the deep state, right? I don't have any problems with experimentation, but RFK seems to be a fucking idiot. And that we can't point to a vast conspiracy of the FDA doing everything they can to make people sick because it makes them money, and yes, we will turn them into the fat pod people. American obesity and health can largely be described by the fact that we don't move that much, we eat too much food, and if you did want to point to a regulation, it's probably high fructose corn syrup. Right? It's not the fact that the FDA is keeping fucking vitamins, clean food, sunshine, and exercise away from us. It's that Americans are keeping those things away from themselves by not fucking doing them. Right?
Okay, so there's a lot to say here. I'm going to have to be brief, but I'd be happy to have this conversation with you longer at some point. As to the specifics of some of these things, such as studies on raw milk, I've seen studies that go the other way, but let's say that I would concede for the sake of this argument that maybe raw milk is sort of a danger. Nutraceuticals have to look in specifically if that's all encompassing. I'm sure that anything within this, there could be bad things within those substratas, but is it that they're limiting any sort of this sort of stuff to occur? I don't know. In general, though, I'll say this. I do know a little more about the raw milk. As someone who has more of a libertarian bent, I would rather that people be informed of possible risks of purchases, but be allowed to purchase things, even if it's considered detrimental to their health. I think that our government goes too far in picking winners and losers and suggesting there are some things you could take and some things that you can't. Specifically on raw milk, my interest in this is seeing in Pennsylvania, not just Amish, but other sort of farmers that I've seen that have been heavily cracked down upon, lost their entire livelihood because of things like this. Let's say that me and 4 of my neighbors decide to go in and purchase a cow, but we don't have a farm. So the local farmer's like, sure, man, you could, you buy the cow, you give me the feed, I'll take care of your cow. And then what we get out of it is we say, oh, when you milk the cow, we would all like to receive that milk. Like, there are times when those sorts of things are made illegal because we're told we don't have the ability to consume that raw milk in that sort of fashion, even if we are aware of the risks and we still think that it's something we should do. And you can find footage of them going after, like through interstate commerce and other things. Some Amish farmer sells a milk bottle for $5 to someone who lives a county away. It just happens to be across state line. And all of a sudden the FDA is kicking in their doors, upsetting their entire livelihood because of these sort of things. So that's the sort of control. In general, I do think that the FDA, like much of these other organizations, even if it starts off with a noble purpose, what happens is they're able to be influenced as well, and they end up pointing to things being illegal or allowing other things to be legal that otherwise wouldn't have been in the best interest of the people. One instance that I could think of, it's a little bit conspiratorial, is the drug aspartame. Or I don't know if drug's the right word, but aspartame, was originally said by the by the Surgeon General, I believe, to be outlawed because it caused cancer. Aspartame is what you see in a lot of your diet sodas. Donald Rumsfeld's company owned sort of the rights to aspartame or something to that effect, and they got rid of the Surgeon General, brought in a new one, and one of the first acts was, aspartame's cool. Now, regardless of how legitimate that story is, I guarantee there's a million other things that went around it, but you could see the potential for abuse. And there's certainly something wrong with the health of this country, high fructose corn syrup being one of them. Our vaccine schedules and how many vaccines we take compared to European countries, which seem to have better health, particularly for young people, seems to be another thing worth looking into. So I would rather the pendulum swing a little too far to someone who's going to be a little more of a wild card that will at least rein in some of the excesses of these institutions than have it the other way. So I'm for RFK getting appointed there, even if there's some batshit crazy things that he believes. I think that that's better than the status quo where we just sort of have people to get along. I'll give you the last word real briefly, and I got 2 more callers to get to in 4 minutes, so keep it brief if you can.
Yeah. You're never gonna hear me go against experimentation and the scientific method to discover mechanisms that rule our reality. You're never gonna hear me go against that. But if your hypothesis is based on a faulty premise, that is where you are in error. And when it comes to American health, I'm going to drive back to the point in comparing ourselves to Japan or Europe. These people walk more, average about, I'm going to guess 5 miles a day more. They ride bicycles. They eat smaller portion sizes. Asian people don't tend to go to the gym, but gym's only about 30% of it. Diet's about 70% of it. But no, the thing driving American obesity is Americans. It's the fact that they'll Uber Eats McDonald's rather than cook. It's the fact that their portion sizes are incorrect. It is the individual, for the conservative, for the libertarian, for the individual that wishes others to exercise autonomy over their lives and not rely on the government to do it. It is Americans that have put themselves into the situation, barring a couple things like high fructose corn syrup, which I would like to see banned and regulated.
All right, man. Well, thanks. Wait, I would be happy to talk to you more about this or whatever later, but I always enjoy talking to you. So I'm not trying to be a jerk. I gotta go. I got some stuff.
It's okay. Not a problem, Rob.
Thanks so much, Peace Crap. We'll talk soon. Alley Cat, what's happening?
Hey, what's up? I'm just here to sit there and celebrate the fact that even with Trump just getting elected, not even being in office, he's already impacting worldwide and global change. Right? You've heard about this, right?
Yeah, the Houthis came out and said that they were going to stop. Russia, Ukraine, both. Hamas.
Hamas. Even Zelensky is looking for peace.
Yep.
Right? And when he sat there and did that. So it's like the guy doesn't even take the job yet and already he's created world peace. What's up with that?
Well, we'll see. It's one thing for those groups to come out and say that. It's another thing to see if it goes through. Certainly, we've heard the Houthis and Hamas suggest that they were going to end attacks previously, and it didn't really come to fruition. But I do think there's a lot of truth in what you're saying. I think that Trump's foreign policy, if a sort of peace through strength, is something that's been underestimated. If you remember in 2016, one of the central attacks against Donald Trump was, well, look, maybe he'd be a smart businessman, but my goodness, hey, thanks so much, Cutter. I appreciate the follow. My goodness, this man will know nothing about foreign policy. The world will be on fire. And it was sort of the opposite. And they're puzzled. Like, it's amazing to me to listen to these people that are supposed experts or that claim to be more experts than me, because what am I? I'm just some hillbilly. Like, what do I know? But like, to me, it totally makes sense. It's like, yeah, he pays lip service to these strongmen type leaders, and then he has policies that's detrimental to them, but he knows he can appeal to their ego. And then the people that are our allies, he's harder on, because he's like, you need to do more. And it works. And the unpredictable nature of him, it's like, you know, I don't know a metaphor that you could use, but, you know, it's similar to the guy at the bar that no one fucks with. He doesn't fight very often, but you know, if he fights, you're going to have to like call the police to drag him off you, because he's going to beat you until, like, that's sort of, I think, one of the world impression to our enemies with Trump, where it's like, look, he's going to try to negotiate with you. He'll try to give you a fair shake. He's not going to say, oh, you're an evil leader, and so therefore we'll never we don't negotiate with these people. You remember he talked to Kim Jong-un, and I saw many on the left were like, he talked to Kim Jong-un without any preconditions. Yeah, so great, right? Like, and I think that they understand that. Like, this guy's, you know, if you're Kim Jong-un, if you're Putin, you're like, this guy's willing to hear us. He'll listen. But if we get out of line, he's unhinged enough that it might just be like, if we push him over that line, that's it. It's not going to be some, you know, screwing around. If we go to war with you, we're going to totally eliminate you. That's it. And if you put that persona out there, maybe it makes the world more peaceful. Because you juxtapose that to someone like an Obama or someone like a Biden, where it's like their core belief is like the United States is evil. They're bad. We owe you money, Iran. It's our fault when this stuff happens, which ironically, they're sort of right, but it's not the people of the United States. It's the damn intel institutions that they then listen to and tell us we have to trust. But that's another discussion. With Trump, I think that there's pride in the United States, and there's this sort of unpredictable nature of peace through strength. And, we'll see how much it comes out. But my gosh, I mentioned this last night doing my winners and losers segment. One of the groups that's in between's Ukraine, because in one, maybe we're going to see the financial spigot be tightened and they're not going to get all this money. But what a victory it would be if this war ends for the Ukrainian people. And that's as big as of a victory as you'll get if you're the people of Ukraine. So, I'm hopeful that you're right. And I do think that you're initially seeing, right now, you're seeing that sort of signaling. Look, all of these places around the world are like, yeah, we're going to like try to be peaceful now because daddy's home. And it's like, oh shit, we got to get our affairs in order. Dad's been out of town on vacation for 4 years, but now he's coming back. Hurry up and clean the room up before he gets here. And then, like, I do think that some of that's occurring. It's not, again, I want to stress, because if all of a sudden Hamas attacks again 2 weeks from now, and people are like, oh, Rob said it was over. I'm not saying it's over. It's easy for them to say this, but they're saying it for a reason, because they understand, oh shit, like when Trump comes in, things might be different.
Well, the real politique is that, like, that's what the follow-up stories are going, is that you're probably not going to see from Hamas, like, ceasefire arrangements until after after January 20th. So again, but I mean, I guess what's kind of nice is just the whole idea that Trump looks like he's already fulfilling his campaign promises to like end the wars within a couple weeks type thing. You know what I mean? It's like, that's what's pretty amazing about all this, as far as I'm concerned.
And he was mocked. People mocked him when he said it. And then look, you're already seeing signals that direction. So, hey, thanks so much, Alley Cat. I hate to let you go, but I do. Banks, we got you real quick. I got to be out in like 5 minutes. What's happening?
That's fine. I just had something I wanted to say real quick. Anyway,
Sure.
Look, as someone who's been watching Twitch Bowl since 2021 and has seen countless panels of you going on and having all these smug liberals that tell you that your worldview is wrong and you're antiquated and all this is, you're just living in the past. I hope you soak up all the liberal tears today. So I was, you were one of the first people I thought about after Trump won, because after all that, after years of being in the mines doing all the grunt work, and having all these people's predictions and models just completely fail the day of the election. It's just it's nice to see.
I thank you. I'm glad you noticed it. It is exactly how I feel. And I know, look, I put a poll up on my YouTube and was like, should I be magnanimous or should I pour salt in the wounds? And understand it, right? Like, I know I've been pouring a little salt, but I feel like deep down, you have no idea how much I just want to be like, just do a stream of 8 hours, just maniacally laughing, bringing up clip after clip of the past 4 years. That's really what that's what my gut's telling me to do. So I'm trying to be measured. I really am. Yeah. I'm trying to understand that there are people that are really hurt, and I'm not trying to be too much of a prick. But yeah, I'm glad you noticed. I've been dealing with some of the most insane people on these panels going back from before 2020, and it's sort of cathartic to be vindicated, like you were saying, that how many times that I've tried to tell people, and I talked about this a little on the show last night. I tried to tell, even this election cycle, I tried to tell people, like, what are you doing? What are you focused on? People can't afford groceries. People are tired of like the crazy bullshit that you're peddling, and they all laugh at me. Okay, so I'm glad you noticed. I'm glad you thought.
I noticed. I just want to see you. So that's all I got.
Thanks, Mix. I really appreciate it.